In the name of Allah, most gracious, most merciful.
See Surah Ali Imran, Ayah 4 for the Tafsir.
There is no God but He, the living, the self-subsisting, eternal.
See Surah Ali Imran, Ayah 4 for the Tafsir.
It is He who sent down to thee step by step, in truth, the book, confirming what went before it, and He sent down the law of Moses and the gospel of Jesus before this, as a guide to mankind, and He sent down the criterion of judgment between right and wrong.
See Surah Ali Imran, Ayah 4 for the Tafsir.
Then those who reject faith in the signs of Allah will suffer the severest penalty, and Allah is exalted in might, Lord of retribution.
The creator and sustainer of the universe is not a mechanical God. He is, in fact, a living conscious being. He has sent guidance for man throughout the ages, including the Torah and the Bible, which were revealed to the former prophets. But man has always put different constructions upon divine teachings. Thus, through his self-styled interpretations, he has divided one religion into many. Ultimately, in accordance with God's plan, the final book in the form of the Qur'an was sent down to man. The Qur'an is not only a genuine book of guidance, but also serves as the criterion or standard of right and wrong. It tells us which is the true religion and which is the religion devised by human beings through misinterpretation. Now those who, denying the book of the Almighty, refuse to abandon the religion devised by human beings, are deserving of His punishment. These are the people to whom God granted eyes, but who failed to see the light sent by God in the form of this book. These are the people to whom their Creator granted minds, but who failed to understand the truth when it came to them in the form of arguments. Bowing to the truth required them to bow to the Prophet and to God, and they thought that by surrendering to the Supreme Being and His Prophet they would diminish in stature. To save their petty greatness, they refused to bow to the truth.
From Allah, verily nothing is hidden on earth or in the heavens.
See Surah Ali Imran, Ayah 6 for the Tafsir.
He it is who shapes you in the wombs as He pleases. There is no God but He, the exalted in might, the wise.
Only God can truly tell us what He is in His being and in His attributes. And He has made this so clear in His book that any reader who is eager for knowledge of Him will certainly gain enlightenment from it. Again, it is only God who can truly give guidance to man. The right course of action for man can be determined only by a being who has not only known man from his birth to his death, but also knows what has gone before his birth and what will happen after his death. It is, therefore, only God who, after placing the nature of man in the perspective of the entire universe, may decree what kind of conduct will guarantee man's success in this world and the next, for sound human mentality can only be one which is in harmony with the rest of the world and in complete accord with the vaster system of the cosmos. It is only God who has the power and the knowledge to ordain what it befits human beings to strive for in the present world. This being so, the only realistic approach for man is to trust in his Maker and accept and follow His guidance wholeheartedly and with full confidence.
He it is who has sent down to thee the book, in it are verses basic or fundamental of established meaning. They are the foundation of the book, others are allegorical. But those in whose hearts is perversity follow the part thereof that is allegorical, seeking discord and searching for its hidden meanings, but no one knows its hidden meanings except Allah. And those who are firmly grounded in knowledge say, we believe in the book, the whole of it is from our Lord, and none will grasp the message except men of understanding.
There are two kinds of subjects dealt with in the Qur'an, one pertaining to the known human world, like historical events, signs from the universe, and commandments for worldly life, the other pertaining to unseen matters which are not comprehensible by man in this life, for instance, God's attributes, and the states of heaven and hell, etc. The first are clear revelations, quite precise in their meaning, since they have been couched in a direct style. The second relate to the unknown world for man, and cannot therefore be expressed in everyday language. That is why they are framed in allegorical style. For instance, if we say man's hand, this is an example of the expression of a fact, but if we say God's hand, this is an example of an allegory. Those who do not understand this difference fall into the error of interpreting allegorical verses quite literally. This will only lead man astray, he will never arrive at the truth. Whereas a human hand may be precisely understood, a divine hand cannot, because of our present limited thinking capacity.
O Lord, They say, "Let not our hearts deviate now after thou hast guided us, but grant us mercy from thine own presence, for thou art the grantor of bounties without measure."
The correct academic and intellectual stand regarding the allegorical part of the Quran is for man to acknowledge his limitations. One should be content to have an abstract understanding of the things which cannot be grasped precisely by the senses. When, due to his imperfect sensory perception, man cannot have a total understanding of those realities, the practical approach should be not to make any attempt to determine the precise meaning in these matters. Instead, man should pray to God to save him from entanglement in fruitless discussions. He should pray to God to grant him such wisdom as will enable him to recognize his place and be content to repose his faith in those realities, without knowing all of their details. A day is soon to come when these realities will come into full view, but it is not possible for man to comprehend them as long as he is still being put to the test in this life by his Lord. The path of the intellect may be a slippery one, where the intellectual may slip and fall in failing to see things in their right perspective. He understands reality, but only when he looks at it from the proper angle. When he does so from another angle, it is quite possible that he will fail to assess it properly and will be a prey to misunderstandings. The greater wisdom for man is to learn the secret of seeing things from the correct standpoint.
O Lord, thou art he that will gather mankind together against a day about which there is no doubt, for Allah never fails in his promise.
See Surah Ali Imran, Ayah 12, for the Tafsir.
Those who reject faith, neither their possessions nor their numerous progeny will avail them aught against Allah. They are themselves but fuel for the fire.
See Surah Ali Imran, Ayah 12, for the Tafsir.
Their plight will be no better than that of the people of Pharaoh and their predecessors. They denied our signs, and Allah called them to account for their sins. For Allah is strict in punishment.
See Surah Ali Imran, Ayah 12, for the Tafsir.
Say to those who reject faith, soon will ye be vanquished and gathered together to hell, an evil bed indeed to lie on.
When the call of truth goes out, it appears to people to be of no value. On the one hand, there are all the assets of worldly comfort and grandeur, while, on the other hand, there's the caravan of truth, having no foothold in society, and no worldly interests attached to it. In such a situation, joining the caravan of truth amounts to detachment from the social circle and depriving oneself of all material benefits. That is why, in order to safeguard his interests, man turns away from the truth. If it means abandoning his friends and relatives, he is not ready to join a lone preacher, die. But all the material considerations that appear important today will cease to matter on the day of judgment. Their importance will last only so long as dealings are between man and man. The day the veil of doomsday is rent asunder, and all issues are to be settled between man and God, all worldly things will become insignificant as if they had never existed. The missionary in this world appears to be powerless, but in reality he is powerful because God is backing him. The denier appears to be influential in this world, but is in fact totally powerless because his strength is nothing but a temporary delusion.
There has already been for you a sign in the two armies that met in combat. One was fighting in the cause of Allah, the other resisting Allah. These saw with their own eyes twice their number, but Allah doth support with his aid whom he pleaseth. And this is a warning for such as have eyes to see.
The Battle of Badr in the 14th year of the prophethood was a worldly example of what will happen in the next world. Those who denied the truth greatly exceeded the believers in numbers and in strength. In fact, the believers were so few in number that they were powerless. In spite of this, those who denied the truth suffered a crushing defeat, and the believers achieved a decisive victory. This is a clear proof that God is always on the side of the believers. In the face of such a great difference in resources, an extraordinary victory cannot be achieved without God's succor. This serves as a demonstration from God that truth does not go unsupported. It is also a clear indication to those who deny the truth of how they are placed in this world. There are obvious signs in the words and deeds of the preacher that the truth he preaches comes from God. But the arrogant find refuge in fine words to refute this. They live by false explanations, until finally they leave for the next world, only to learn that the words in which they had taken refuge were utterly meaningless from the standpoint of reality.
Fair in the eyes of men is the love of things they covet, women and sons. Heaped up hoards of gold and silver, horses branded for blood and excellence, and wealth of cattle and well-tilled land. Such are the possessions of this world's life, but in nearness to Allah is the best of the goals to return to.
See Surah Ali Imran, Ayah 15, for the Tafsir.
Say, shall I give you glad tidings of things far better than those? For the righteous are gardens in nearness to their Lord, with rivers flowing beneath. Therein is their eternal home, with companions pure and holy, and the good pleasure of Allah. For in Allah's sight are all His servants.
This world is a place of trial. God, wishing to ascertain which of His creatures are capable of rising above worldly attractions, has so willed it that man should be attracted to and find gratification in the things of this world, but at the same time be faced with the choice of clinging to them or renouncing them in favor of the unseen things of the next world. This is not an easy choice, for he sees that worldly acquisitions lead him to an honorable place in society. By possessing material resources, he can have all that he wants in life. This gives him the impression that it is these things that are of consequence. All his interests and activities center around his family, his wealth, and his property. This presents the greatest obstacle to advancing towards the demands of the hereafter. The aura of importance surrounding worldly things makes him oblivious of all that pertains to the next life. He is so engrossed in building the future of his children in this world that he no longer remembers the fact that there is any future beyond this present life, to which he should give thought. Providing all comforts for his home in this world becomes so dear to him that it never occurs to him that there is any other home save this, to which he should pay heed. Making money, accumulating riches, and possessing property in this world seems so estimable to him that he fails to realize that there is any wealth other than this, to which he should devote his life. However, all these things with the external glitter of this present life will be of no use to him in the next, eternal life. It is only one who makes the permanent life of the hereafter the focus of his attention who will realize the insignificance of these worldly things.
Namely, those who say, Our Lord, we have indeed believed, forgive us, then, our sins, and save us from the agony of the fire.
See Surah Ali Imran, Ayah 17, for the Tafsir.
Those who show patience, firmness, and self-control, who are true in word and deed, who worship devoutly, who spend in the way of Allah, and who pray for forgiveness in the early hours of the morning.
He will be filled with the conviction that the matters of the next world are entirely in the hands of his Lord, and all the glitter of this world will appear meaningless. As a result, God will be the entity he fears most, and he will be desirous of the next life more than anything else. He will not follow his mundane desires, but will rather determine his course of action, keeping in view the court of the Almighty. There will be no discrepancy between his words and his actions. His wealth will no longer remain his, but will be devoted to the cause of God. Whatever difficulties he faces in the path of his Creator, he will adhere to that path with total steadfastness, because he will have the conviction that no one can give him succor if he turns away from God. His heart will be filled with his remembrance, and he will start calling upon him spontaneously. God will be his companion in his solitude. In the presence of his greatness and perfection, his own being will appear completely insignificant. He will have no words to utter but, "Oh my God, forgive me."
There is no God but He, that is the witness of Allah, His angels, and those endued with knowledge, standing firm on justice. There is no God but He, the exalted in power, the wise.
See Surah Ali Imran, Ayah 19, for the Tafsir.
The religion before Allah is Islam, submission to His will, nor did the people of the book dissent there from except through envy of each other after knowledge had come to them. But if any deny the signs of Allah, Allah is swift in calling to account.
The God of the universe is the one and only God, and He likes justice. This assertion is made in all the revealed scriptures, which are still in their original form. The vast universe run by its master through his unseen agents, the angels, is exactly what it ought to be, and as perfect as it can be. According to established knowledge, the universe seems to be a completely unitary system. This would indicate that it has a single planner. Moreover, everything in the universe being in its right place is a proof that its Lord loves justice and righteousness rather than injustice and wrongdoing. Then how can God, who has maintained justice in the vaster universe, allow injustice in human matters? Each and every part of the universe is in a complete state of surrender. That is, all its functions are performed in accordance with the appointed plan of God. Exactly the same performance is required of man. Man must recognize his Lord and mold his life in accordance with God's plan. making anyone else, save God, the center of his attention, or nurturing the thought that God's judgment can be based on anything other than justice is inconceivable in the present universe.
So if they dispute with thee, say, I have submitted my whole self to Allah, and so have those who follow me. And say to the people of the book and to those who are unlearned, do you also submit yourselves? If they do, they are in right guidance, but if they turn back, thy duty is to convey the message, and in Allah's sight are all his servants.
See Surah Ali Imran, Ayat 22 for the Tafsir.
As to those who deny the signs of Allah and in defiance of right slay the prophets, and slay those who teach just dealing with mankind, announce to them a grievous penalty.
See Surah Ali Imran, Ayat 22 for the Tafsir.
They are those whose works will bear no fruit in this world and in the hereafter, nor will they have anyone to help.
The call of the Quran is the call of the same true version of Islam, the religion of submission to God, as was revealed to all the other prophets. Those who deny this do so not because its truth is not clear to them, but because of their own sense of superiority. Acknowledging its veracity amounts, as they see it, to accepting the intellectual superiority of the proponent of the Quran, and their jealousy and arrogance do not allow such an acknowledgement. Instead of accepting the truth, they want to exterminate the Day himself. However, this is not possible in this world of God. All their plans to censor the Day's words will fail, and when God's scales of justice are put in place, they will see that those actions which had given them the conviction of securing success and salvation are quite without value. True argument is one of God's signs. One who does not bow to a true argument fails to bow to God. Such dissenters will enter the next world divested of all support.
Hast thou not turned thy vision to those who have been given a portion of the book? They are invited to the book of Allah to settle their dispute, but a party of them turn back and decline the arbitration.
See Surah Ali Imran, Ayah 24, for the Tafsir.
This because they say, the fire shall not touch us but for a few numbered days, for their forgeries deceive them as to their own religion.
God's guidance is one and the same as that revealed to various prophets from time to time in various languages. The same guidance was revealed to the final prophet in the form of the Quran. Due to this uniformity in content, recognizing the call of the Quran is not difficult for the people of the book, i.e. believers in other revealed scriptures. The only difference between the Quranic call and former divine scriptures lies in the fact that the Quran has purified the religion of God of all human interpolations. Then why is it that many people deny the call of the Quran? It is because the Quranic call does not appear to them to be a serious matter. This is their self-styled concepts by which they feel that they have safeguarded themselves from the fire of hell. It is as a result of this mindset that they think that, even if they do not recognize the truth, their salvation is still not at risk. But when the divine scales are put in place, they will realize how deluded they were in their wishful thinking.
But how will they fare when we gathered them together against a day about which there is no doubt, and each soul will be paid out just what it has earned, without favor or injustice?
See Surah Ali Imran, Ayah 27 for the Tafsir.
Say, O Allah, Lord of power and rule, Thou givest power to whom Thou pleasest, and Thou strippest off power from whom Thou pleasest. Thou enduest with honor whom Thou pleasest, and Thou bringest low whom Thou pleasest. In Thy hand is all good. Verily, over all things Thou hast power.
See Surah Ali Imran, Ayah 27 for the Tafsir.
Thou causest the night to gain on the day, and Thou causest the day to gain on the night. Thou bringest the living out of the dead, and Thou bringest the dead out of the living, and Thou givest sustenance to whom Thou pleasest, without measure.
All kinds of honor and power lie in the hand of God. Those who are considered insignificant by the leaders of the time can be entitled to the highest honor and eminence by the grace of God. In the eyes of God, it is those who regard such attainments as being purely and simply the gifts of God who are deserving of honor and power. The most undeserving of honor and power are those who consider them to be their own acquisitions. In the vaster universe, God daily performs the miracle on a colossal scale of bringing darkness after light and light after darkness, i.e. the alternation of day and night. He brings into existence life from dead elements and causes living things to die. There is nothing surprising about it, if the same power of God manifests itself among human beings. But those who exchange falsehoods in the name of truth always turn against the call of truth. The preacher of truth may ultimately be rendered homeless, and his economic resources may be cut off. But such an individual is always under the direct guardianship of God, who provides for him this special succor. While others are provided for according to their efforts, a messenger of truth is provided for by God without measure.
Let not the believers take for friends or helpers unbelievers rather than believers. If any do that, in nothing will there be help from Allah, except by way of precaution, that ye may guard yourselves from them. But Allah cautions you to remember Himself, for the final goal is to Allah.
See Surah Ali Imran, Ayah 29 for the Tafsir.
Say, whether ye hide what is in your hearts or reveal it, Allah knows it all. He knows what is in the heavens and what is on earth. And Allah has power over all things.
A believer treats all human beings with justice and fairness, without differentiating between Muslims and non-Muslims. But friendship with non-Muslims who are at war with Islam is not lawful. In the eyes of God, it is our intention that matters. When our intention is sincere, God does not take us to task for our actions. The key factor, worthy of consideration in all matters, is the fear of God. One should always give proper thought to one's behavior, whatever the issue, because one is accountable to God for everything. Whoever is proved wrong on the divine scale cannot escape punishment. Nothing pertaining to human beings escapes the eyes of God, whether in public or in private. When the veil of the divine test is cast aside, the world of the hereafter will appear before mankind, and the fruits of all man's actions will be before him. This sight will be so dreadful that all the things of this world, which had appeared so pleasing to him, will now be the very things from which he will want to distance himself. What is most important in the eyes of God is whether Islam is implanted in one's heart or not. A believer is one whose love for God springs from his heart, who loves God truly in his heart of hearts. It is people such as those who deserve God's love and attention. One who forms such a bond with God is forgiven by Him for his failings. God is hard on the arrogant, but He is gentle with those who adopt modesty as their way of life.
On the day when every soul will be confronted with all the good it has done and all the evil it has done, it will wish there were a great distance between it and its evil. But Allah cautions you to remember Himself, and Allah is full of kindness to those that serve Him.
See Surah Ali Imran, Ayah 32 for the Tafsir.
Say, if you do love Allah, follow me. Allah will love you and forgive you your sins, for Allah is oft forgiving, most merciful.
See Surah Ali Imran, Ayah 32 for the Tafsir.
Say, obey Allah and His Messenger, but if they turn back, Allah loveth not those who reject faith.
It is a psychological reality that one who loves someone cannot at the same time love the enemy of the beloved. It is also a fact that when the beloved is a being who has the status of one's creator and sustainer, then this love will necessarily bring about in the lover the desire to obey that being in all matters. If the love of God does not produce in him feelings of obeisance to Him, then such a love is false. A believer who is one in name only will be included among the deniers. God Himself has testified to the prophets total obedience to Him in all matters. So the authentic example of the life of God, worshipped in this world, is only such as was handed down to us by His messenger.
Allah did choose Adam and Noah, the family of Abraham, and the family of Imran above all people.
See Surah Ali Imran, Ayah 44 for the Tafsir.
Offspring, one of the other, and Allah heareth and knoweth all things.
See Surah Ali Imran, Ayah 44 for the Tafsir.
Behold, a woman of Iran said, O my Lord, I do dedicate unto Thee what is in my womb for Thy special service, so accept this of me, for Thou hearest and knowest all things.
See Surah Al Imran, Ayah 44 for the Tafsir.
When she was delivered, she said, O my Lord, behold, I am delivered of a female child, and Allah knew best what she brought forth, and no wise is the male like the female. I have named her Mary, and I commend her and her offspring to Thy protection from the evil one, the rejected.
See Surah Al Imran, Ayah 44 for the Tafsir.
Right graciously did her Lord accept her. He made her grow in purity and beauty. To the care of Zachariah was she assigned. Every time that he entered her chamber to see her, he found her supplied with sustenance. He said, O Mary, whence comes this to you? She said, From Allah, for Allah provides sustenance to whom He pleases without measure.
See Surah Ali Imran, Ayah 44 for the Tafsir.
There did Zachariah pray to his Lord, saying, O my Lord, grant unto me from thee a progeny that is pure, for thou art he that heareth prayer.
See Surah Ali Imran, Ayah 44 for the Tafsir.
While he was standing in prayer in the chamber, the angels called unto him, Allah doth give thee glad tidings of Yahya, witnessing the truth of a word from Allah, and be besides noble, chaste, and a prophet of the goodly company of the righteous.
See Surah Ali Imran, Ayah 44 for the Tafsir.
He said, O my Lord, how shall I have son, seeing I am very old, and my wife is barren? Thus was the answer, doth Allah accomplish what He willeth.
See Surah Ali Imran, Ayah 44 for the Tafsir.
He said, O my Lord, give me a sign. Thy sign, was the answer, shall be that thou shalt speak to no man for 3 days but with signals. Then celebrate the praises of thy Lord again, and glorify Him in the evening and in the morning.
See Surah Ali Imran, Ayah 44 for the Tafsir.
Behold, the angels said, O Mary, Allah hath chosen thee and purified thee, chosen thee above the women of all nations.
See Surah Ali Imran, Ayah 44 for the Tafsir.
O Mary, worship thy Lord devoutly, prostrate thyself, and bow down in prayer with those who bow down.
See Surah Ali Imran, Ayah 44 for the Tafsir.
This is part of the tidings of the things unseen, which we reveal unto thee, O Messenger. By inspiration, thou wast not with them when they cast lots with arrows, as to which of them should be charged with the care of Mary, nor wast thou with them when they disputed the point.
God blessed Zachariah with an offspring in his old age, provided sustenance to Mary in her shrine, created Jesus without a father, and brought into being chaste and upright people who were descendants of Abraham, so that they could be chosen to communicate the message of God to human beings. God did not grant these blessings to His people for no good reason. He found them so deserving that He showered them with His blessings. These were the people who had no material expectations from their children. Their happiness rested upon their children's dedication and devotion to the cause of God. These were the people who wanted their children to be saved from Satan and join the band of believers. They were not given to jealousy and ill will on seeing goodness in others. It was through their good influence that their children too were in control of themselves and became one with those who truly remembered God, who chose the right way, abandoning the path that leads one astray. Such are the people whom God provides for out of His special mercy, and who have His special blessings showered upon them.
Behold, the angels said, O Mary, Allah giveth thee glad tidings of a word from Him. His name will be Christ Jesus, the Son of Mary, held in honor in this world and the hereafter, and of the company of those nearest to Allah.
See Surah Ali Imran, Ayah 48 for the Tafsir.
He shall speak to the people in childhood and in maturity, and he shall be of the company of the righteous.
See Surah Ali Imran, Ayah 48 for the Tafsir.
She said, O my Lord, how shall I have a son when no man hath touched me? He said, Even so, Allah createth what He willeth. When He hath decreed a plan, He but saith to it, Be, and it is.
See Surah Ali Imran, Ayah 48 for the Tafsir.
And Allah will teach him the book and wisdom, the law and the gospel.
The Jews were chosen by God for the special mission of being the bearers of divine guidance, so that, along with following the path of God, they should also communicate this guidance to others. But the rot set in the Jews in later times. Then a time came when they were no longer worthy of being the bearers of divine guidance. God then took away this trust from them and gave it to the other branch of Abraham's dynasty, the Banu Ismail. Before the enforcement of this decree, it was necessary to prove to them that they were no longer to be trusted. Jesus Christ was sent by God for this purpose. His extraordinary birth and His performance of extraordinary miracles were meant to convince the Jews of His messengership, i.e. that He had been sent by God, and that He was speaking on behalf of God.
Surely therein is a sign for you if ye did believe.
See Surah Ali Imran, Ayah 51 for the Tafsir.
I have come to you to attest the law which was before me, and to make lawful to you part of what was before forbidden to you. I have come to you with a sign from your Lord. So fear Allah and obey me.
See Surah Ali Imran, Ayah 51 for the Tafsir.
It is Allah who is my Lord and your Lord, then worship Him. This is a way that is straight.
Jesus Christ was not only given extraordinary signs from God, but he spoke in so effective, persuasive and logical a manner that no one in his time could equal him. When he spoke for the first time in the temple, all that heard him were astonished at his understanding and answers. Luke 2:47. It was on account of his miraculous personality and his astonishing powers of speech that, although he was born without a father, no one dared to abuse him on this score. However, the Jews had become so insensitive and insolent that, in spite of very clear proofs, they refused to believe in him. Surely in this there is a sign for you, if you are believers, means that the proof, as presented, although complete in itself, would make sense only to one who wanted to believe, who had the ability to come out of his self and ponder over its veracity, whose nature was so receptive that the question of personal prestige did not become an obstacle to the acceptance of truth.
When Jesus found unbelief on their part, he said, "Who will be my helpers to the work of Allah?" Said the disciples, "We are Allah's helpers. We believe in Allah, and do thou bear witness that we are Muslims."
See Surah Ali Imran, Ayah 54 for the Tafsir.
O Lord, we believe in what thou hast revealed, and we follow the messenger. Then write us down among those who bear witness.
See Surah Ali Imran, Ayah 54 for the Tafsir.
The unbelievers plotted and planned, and Allah too planned, and the best of planners is Allah.
The religious leaders of the Israelites refused to believe in Jesus Christ. In any society, it is the leading lights who have access to all resources, and in addition to being in possession of religious seats, they become the representatives of religion in the eyes of the people. This being so, if someone is rejected by these influential people, not only is he deprived of life's resources, but even after losing all for the sake of truth, he remains a heretic in people's eyes. In such circumstances, the most difficult of tasks is to support a preacher of truth. It means testifying to his veracity in a general atmosphere of suspicion and opposition. It amounts to siding with the truth when it stands alone and unsupported. When the truth is presented in all its purity, all those who are leading a life of untruth feel on the defensive, especially those who, by having pasted the label of truth on their lives, have secured a position of honor in society. It is such as they who rise to suppress the call of truth, setting the people against the caller by putting wrong constructions on his words. When this does not work, they finally plan to resort to the use of power in order to annihilate both the call and the caller. But God's succor is always with the preacher. That is why no opposition to him succeeds in suppressing the truth, and he is able to complete his mission. Those who oppose the call of truth are mischief makers in the eyes of God. This is because they stop potential believers from reaching the path of paradise. No evil can be greater than obstructing the path of those intent upon entering God's paradise.
Behold, Allah said, "O Jesus, I will take thee and raise thee to myself and clear thee of the falsehoods of those who blaspheme. I will make those who follow thee superior to those who reject faith to the day of resurrection. Then shall ye all return unto me, and I will judge between you of the matters wherein ye dispute."
See Surah Ali Imran, Ayah 58 for the Tafsir.
As to those who reject faith, I will punish them with terrible agony in this world and in the hereafter, nor will they have anyone to help.
See Surah Ali Imran, Ayah 58 for the Tafsir.
As to those who believe and work righteousness, Allah will pay them in full their reward, but Allah loveth not those who do wrong.
See Surah Ali Imran, Ayah 58 for the Tafsir.
This is what we rehearse unto thee of the signs and the message of wisdom.
Jesus Christ was born into the Jewish community, but the Jews did not affirm his prophethood. Instead, they made out a false case against him and took him to the Roman court in Palestine. The court decreed to have him crucified, but God saved him, and the Roman soldiers crucified another person who resembled Christ, taking him to be Christ. To punish this crime of the Jews, God decreed that the believers in Jesus Christ would forever till doomsday have dominion over the Jewish people. This is what was decreed by God for this world. The hereafter, however, is a different matter.
The similitude of Jesus before Allah is as that of Adam. He created him from dust, then said to him, Be. And he was.
The Christians believe that Christ is the Son of God, and that he is different from all other human beings. Since his very birth was quite exceptional, in that he had no father, how could he be a human being like any other? They hold that his uncommon birth itself shows that he was not the Son of Man but of God. But this contention can be shown to be invalid by comparing the birth of Christ with the birth of the first man. All of us, the Christians too, believe that Adam was the first man. He was not born in the normal way, i.e. having a father and mother, but came into existence directly by God's command. Then when Adam, born without a father, is not God's son, how could Jesus Christ, who was also born without a father, be the Son of God?
The truth comes from Allah alone, so be not of those who doubt.
See Surah Ali Imran, Ayah 63 for the Tafsir.
If anyone disputes in this matter with thee, now after full knowledge hath come to thee, say, Come, let us gather together, our sons and your sons, our women and your women, ourselves and yourselves, then let us earnestly pray and invoke the curse of Allah on those who lie.
See Surah Ali Imran, Ayah 63 for the Tafsir.
This is the true account. There is no God except Allah, and Allah, He is indeed the exalted in power, the wise.
See Surah Ali Imran, Ayah 63 for the Tafsir.
If they turn back, Allah hath full knowledge of those who do mischief.
Najran, about 150 miles north of Sana'a toward Yemen, was a great center of Christianity at the time of the revelation of the Quran. In the 10th year of the Hijra, a Christian deputation came from Najran to discuss Christian beliefs with the Prophet Muhammad. The Prophet presented many arguments to them. He asked how Christ could be God's son when God is a living being who would never die, whereas Jesus would eventually be overcome by death. They could not counter his arguments, but nevertheless stood their ground. When the Prophet saw that they were not going to accept his arguments, however sound they might be, he gave them a final challenge. He said that if they really believed that they were right in believing Christ to be the Son of God, they should be ready for a mubahala, i.e., a solemn meeting in which both sides should summon not only their men, but their women and children to pray earnestly to God and invoke the curse of God on those who lied. Those who were pure and sincere in their faith would not hesitate. The next day the Prophet came out of his home accompanied by his grandsons, Hassan and Hussein, and his daughter Fatima, and son-in-law Ali. On seeing this, the Christians were so impressed that they sought some time to reconsider. In their consultations, one of their religious scholars said, You know God has promised to send a prophet among the Ishmaelites. Suppose he be the same prophet. In that case, the only result of engaging in a mubahala with him would be the destruction of all our people, and its effect would even extend to our next generations. By God, I am seeing such faces as could move mountains with their prayers. So it is better to enter into certain peace treaties with him and go back to our homes.
Say, O people of the book, come to common terms as between us and you, that we worship none but Allah, that we associate no partners with him, that we erect not from among ourselves lords and patrons other than Allah. If then they turn back, say ye, bear witness that we at least are Muslims bowing to Allah's will.
See Surah Ali Imran, Ayah 66 for the Tafsir.
Ye people of the book, why dispute ye about Abraham, when the law and the gospel were not revealed till after him? Have ye no understanding?
See Surah Ali Imran, Ayah 66 for the Tafsir.
Ye are those who fell to disputing even in matters of which ye had some knowledge. But why dispute ye in matters of which ye have no knowledge? It is Allah who knows, and ye who know not.
The concept of monotheism is not only a basic teaching of the Prophet Muhammad, but is also enshrined as an established reality, even in the interpolated versions of the Torah and the Bible. Judged on this established criterion, Islam, unlike Judaism and Christianity, is proved to be a perfectly true religion. Monotheism implies belief in only one God. He alone should be worshipped. No one should be associated with him. No man should be accorded that special place which is the sole prerogative of the Lord of the universe. This concept of monotheism is preserved in its pure form only in Islam and the Quran. Other religions, while accepting monotheism ideologically, also adopted almost everything that ran counter to it. While believing in God as the sustainer, In practice, it accorded that status to their saints.
Abraham was not a Jew nor yet a Christian, but he was true in faith and bowed his will to Allah's, which is Islam, and he joined not gods with Allah.
See Surah Ali Imran, Ayah 71, for the Tafsir.
Without doubt, among men, the nearest of kin to Abraham are those who follow him, as are also this prophet and those who believe, and Allah is the protector of those who have faith.
See Surah Ali Imran, Ayat 71, for the Tafsir.
It is the wish of a section of the people of the book to lead you astray. But they shall lead astray not you, but themselves, and they do not perceive.
See Surah Al Imran, Ayat 71, for the Tafsir.
Ye people of the book, why reject ye the signs of Allah, of which ye are yourselves witnesses?
See Surah Al Imran, Ayat 71, for the Tafsir.
Ye people of the book, why do ye clothe truth with falsehood, and conceal the truth, while ye have knowledge?
The Meccan polytheists called the religion the faith of Abraham. Jews and Christians, too, bracketed their religious history with that of Abraham. In every age, people have used the names of their prophets and saints to justify their own additions to and inventions in religion. After the passage of time, people failed to differentiate between the original religion and its later version. The later version is ultimately taken to be the real religion. The atmosphere surrounding it is such that, when the call to return to true and pure religion is given, its opponents find the easiest way to discredit it is by making public allegations that the caller is against the religion handed down to them by their saints. One who is the true representative of the religion of saints is now rejected in the name of former saints. This is because what his opponents hold up as their yardstick is not actually the original version of religion as given by the saints of the past. Instead, it is the body of alterations and additions made by later followers and subsequently accepted as the religion of the saints. This is like drawing a veil of falsehood over the truth. That is, making pronouncements which are invalid from the religious and logical point of view. But since the public does not have the ability to analyze them, it deems them to be right and is thus distanced from the truth. The Hanif, monotheist, is one who treads the straight path of monotheism, and the non-Hanif is one who deviates from the straight path, going instead into bylanes. Sometimes the secondary aspects of religion are so emphasized by the interpretation put upon them that they appear to be the main foci, the actual core of religion. In this way, its fundamentals lose their significance and people stray from the straight thoroughfare of monotheism into the byways of unimportant issues.
A section of the people of the book say, believe in the morning what is revealed to the believers, but reject it at the end of the day, perchance they may themselves turn back.
See Surah Ali Imran, Ayat 74, for the Tafsir.
And believe no one unless he follows your religion. Say, true guidance is the guidance of Allah. Fear ye lest a revelation be sent to someone else like unto that which was sent unto you, or that those receiving such revelation should engage you in argument before your Lord. Say, all bounties are in the hand of Allah. He granteth them to whom he pleaseth, and Allah careth for all, and he knoweth all things.
See Surah Ali Imran, Ayat 74, for the Tafsir.
For his mercy he specially chooseth whom he pleaseth, for Allah is the Lord of bounties unbounded.
The community into which prophets and reformers have been born, and in which religion has held sway for a considerable period of time, is often mistaken in thinking that their ethos and the truth are synonymous. That is, whatever they believe and practice is nothing but the truth. It comes to believe that guidance has something to do with a particular community rather than being a matter of principle, and is unwilling to accept such truth as has been revealed elsewhere. This was the case with the Jews. Under the influence of historical traditions, they began to believe that whoever was one of them was on the right path, and that whoever was not was misguided. Even today, they tend to forget that truth is something that comes from God, and not from an individual or a community. Although they are ostensibly adherents of a divine religion, in reality for them their community is supreme, while God is relegated to a secondary place. This mentality casts such a veil over their eyes that they become unable to see any merit outside their own fraternity. Even in the face of clear signs and arguments, they doubt the veracity of any outsider and strongly oppose any call of truth which comes from without. In obedience to their false standards, they try to stifle such a call. They would not hesitate to adopt unjust methods to curb the activities of the preacher. They would even resort to spreading false propaganda to cast doubt upon his veracity. Going against God's commandments, they adopt two separate criteria of behavior, one for the members of their own community and another for outsiders.
Among the people of the book are some who, if entrusted with a hoard of gold, will readily pay it back. Others, who, if entrusted with a single silver coin, will not repay it unless thou constantly stoodest demanding, because, they say, there is no call on us to keep faith with these ignorant pagans. But they tell a lie against Allah, and well they know it.
See Surah Ali Imran, Ayah 76, for the Tafsir.
Nay, those that keep their plighted faith and act aright, verily Allah loves those who act aright.
Being particularly chosen to represent his religion is one of the special blessings of God. Such a choice is not based on one's belonging to a certain community. The recipient of this blessing is one whom God selects for his spiritual virtues. And God likes one who is so attached to him and who so fears him that he becomes his keeper and his Lord in the true sense of these words. Indeed, when the believer enters into a covenant with his Creator, he is not able to go back. God's chosen servants are those who fulfill their trusts and do not break their promises. It is people such as these who are showered with God's blessings. On the contrary, those who are careless in fulfillment of trusts and are negligent about keeping their promises are of no value in the eyes of God. They will be denied God's mercies and blessings.
As for those who sell the faith they owe to Allah and their own plighted word for a small price, they shall have no portion in the hereafter, nor will Allah deign to speak to them or look at them on the day of judgment, nor will He cleanse them of sin. They shall have a grievous penalty.
On embracing the faith, the individual enters into a covenant with God that he will obey Him and that, living among human beings and pledging himself to a life of constraint, he will fulfill all the responsibilities that God's law imposes upon him. Such a life can be adhered to only by one who has risen above worldly interests, one who is ready to overlook the divine pact whenever his self suffers or his worldly interests are endangered, barters the world for the hereafter at a very paltry price. Whenever the question arises of choosing either the world or the hereafter, he always prefers the world. How can one who attaches so little value to the hereafter be deserving of God's mercies in the next world?
There is among them a section who distort the book with their tongues. As they read, you would think it is a part of the book, but it is no part of the book, and they say, that is from Allah, but it is not from Allah. It is they who tell a lie against Allah, and well they know it.
See Surah Ali Imran, Ayah 80, for the Tafsir.
It is not possible that a man, to whom is given the book, and wisdom, and the prophetic office, should say to people, Be ye my worshippers rather than Allah's. On the contrary, he would say, Be ye worshippers of Him who is truly the cherisher of all, for ye have taught the book and ye have studied it earnestly.
See Surah Ali Imran, Ayah 80, for the Tafsir.
Nor would He instruct you to take angels and prophets for lords and patrons. But would He bid you to unbelief after ye have bowed your will to Allah in Islam?
Those who buy the world in exchange for the hereafter do not deny religion or the hereafter outright. Rather, they fully associate themselves with their religion. Then, how do they reconcile these two conflicting spheres? This is done in a devious way, that is, by putting a self-styled construction upon revealed teachings. Aspirants to material honor and glory pervert the teachings of their religion in order to justify their worldly ways, sometimes by altering the wordings of revelations and sometimes by willful misinterpretation supportive of their selfish interests. Instead of changing themselves, they change the Book of God, so that whatever it takes to give a religious aura to their irreligious lives may be shown to be contained therein. The most heinous crime in the eyes of God is to attribute to God something which He has not said. The simplest and most certain testimony of the truth of any teaching is that it brings God's servants closer to their Lord, that it directs people's feelings of love and fear towards God. On the contrary, any teaching which produces a personal cult or any other cult for that matter, or which diverts people's finer feelings and emotions towards anything other than God, should be considered based on falsehood, even if it be couched in religious terms.
Behold, Allah took the covenant of the prophets, saying, I give you a book and wisdom, then comes to you a messenger, confirming what is with you, do ye believe in him and render him hell? Allah said, Do ye agree, and take this my covenant as binding on you? They said, We agree. He said, Then bear witness, and I am with you among the witnesses.
See Surah Ali Imran, Ayah 83, For the Tafsir.
If any turn back after this, they are perverted transgressors.
See Surah Ali Imran, Ayat 83, for the Tafsir.
Do they seek for other than the religion of Allah? While all creatures in the heavens and on earth have, willing or unwilling, bowed to His will, accepted Islam, and to Him shall they all be brought back.
Discovering God is to find an eternal reality. It is to become a co-traveler or a traveling companion of the whole universe. Those who find God in this way can rise above all kinds of prejudices. They recognize truth in all situations, whether the call of truth comes through an Israelite prophet or an Ishmaelite prophet. But those who lead their lives on the level of community-oriented thinking can recognize the truth only when it comes to them from a member of their own community. If God selects as His messenger someone from outside their community, then the message He brings does not lodge in their minds, not even when their own hearts bear witness to the veracity of that message. Even if such believers regard themselves as true believers, they will find their names deleted from the list of believers in the hereafter. This is because they recognize the truth only in relation to their community rather than in relation to God. Not acknowledging a message of truth which has been testified to by their own hearts is the worst crime in the eyes of God. Such people will be condemned in the hereafter, and all creatures will join in this condemnation.
Say, we believe in Allah, and in what has been revealed to us and what was revealed to Abraham, Ismail, Isaac, Jacob, and the tribes, and in the books given to Moses, Jesus, and the prophets. From their Lord, we make no distinction between one and another among them, and to Allah do we bow our will in Islam.
See Surah Ali Imran, Ayat 91, for the Tafsir.
If anyone desires a religion other than Islam's submission to Allah, never will it be accepted of him, and in the hereafter he will be in the ranks of those who have lost all spiritual good.
See Surah Ali Imran, Ayat 91, for the Tafsir.
How shall Allah guide those who reject faith after they accepted it and bore witness that the messenger was true and that clear signs had come unto them? But Allah guides not a people unjust.
See Surah Ali Imran, Ayat 91, for the Tafsir.
Such the reward is that on them rests the curse of Allah, of His angels, and of all mankind.
See Surah Ali Imran, Ayat 91, for the Tafsir.
In that will they dwell, nor will their penalty be lightened, nor respite be their lot.
See Surah Al Imran, Ayat 91, for the Tafsir.
Except for those that repent even after that, and make amends, for verily Allah is oft forgiving, most merciful.
See Surah Al Imran, Ayat 91, for the Tafsir.
But those who reject faith after they accepted it, and then go on adding to their defiance of faith, never will their repentance be accepted, for they are those who have a set purpose gone astray.
See Surah Al Imran, Ayat 91, for the Tafsir.
As to those who reject faith, and die rejecting, never would be accepted from any such as much gold as the earth contains, though they should offer it for ransom. For such is in store a penalty grievous, and they will find no helpers.
Not acknowledging any truth external to their community appears to be a bid to save their faith, but in actuality, it destroys their faith. God's true believer lives on God's continuous inspiration, so that one who confines himself to self-worship and community worship will be blocking all paths to God's blessing entering into him. After being deprived of God's inspiration, what will there be left with which to nurture his faith?
By no means shall ye attain righteousness unless ye give freely of that which ye love, and whatever ye give, of a truth Allah knoweth it well.
See Surah Al Imran, Ayah 97, for the Tafsir.
All food was lawful to the children of Israel, except what Israel made unlawful for itself, before the law of Moses was revealed. Say, bring ye the law and study it, if ye be men of truth.
See Surah Al Imran, Ayat 97, for the Tafsir.
If any, after this, invent a lie and attribute it to Allah, they are indeed unjust wrongdoers.
See Surah Al Imran, Ayat 97, for the Tafsir.
Say, Allah speaketh the truth, follow the religion of Abraham, the sane in faith, he was not of the pagans.
See Surah Al Imran, Ayat 97, for the Tafsir.
The first house of worship appointed for men was that at Bakka, full of blessing and of guidance for all kinds of beings.
See Surah Ali Imran, Ayah 97 for the Tafsir.
In it are signs manifest, for example, the station of Abraham. Whoever enters it attains security. Pilgrimage thereto is a duty men owe to Allah, those who can afford the journey, but if any deny faith, Allah stands not in need of any of his creatures.
According to the Jews' self-made set of religious laws, eating the meat of the camel and the rabbit was illegal, while it was quite licit in Islam. So the Jews would ask, if Islam was a revealed religion, why it was that the lawful and the unlawful were different in Islam from what had been laid down in the former revealed religions. Similarly, they would ask how it was that a religion revealed by God could command the direction of prayer to be the Kaaba instead of Al-Bayt al-Maqdis, Jerusalem, which had remained the direction for prayer in the teachings of all the prophets up till then. They in fact refused to believe that God could reveal a religion in which the Kaaba was held to be the direction for prayer.
Say, O people of the book, why reject ye the signs of Allah, when Allah is himself witness to all ye do?
See Surah Ali Imran, Ayah 99, for the Tafsir.
Say, O ye people of the book, why obstruct ye those who believe from the path of Allah, seeking to make it crooked, while you are yourselves witnesses to Allah's covenant? But Allah is not unmindful of all that ye do.
When the call of truth comes in all its purity, the interests of those who contrive to convince others that their self-styled religion had indeed been revealed by God are put at risk. People serving their own interests oppose the new messenger by raising different kinds of objections based on fallacies in order to turn others away from the true message. In their self-styled religion, the basics of faith are not stressed. Instead, by giving importance to hair-splitting arguments on the relative aspects of religion, the acme of virtue is equated with full adherence to a man-made religious form. For example, they would shun rabbit's meat, saying that it was not consumed by their saints, although along with this, many illegal things would have been legalized by them. They would consider it of the utmost importance to face exactly in the direction of Al-Bayt al-Maqdis, like a compass needle pointing to the pole. They would show no interest in making their daily activities God-oriented. Virtue, however, hinges upon the making of sacrifices and not on the mere fact of opting for a religious form. God's true servant is one who offers his Lord the gift of love, and for whom no material thing is dearer than God. He is ever ready to pay the price of losing his prestige by recognizing the truth. He is ever ready to spend his wealth for the cause of God. Whoever is ready to pay the price of sacrificing his most cherished ambitions will be counted among the virtuous and considered a God worshipper in the eyes of God.
O ye who believe, if you listen to a faction among the people of the book, they would indeed render you apostates after ye have believed.
See Surah Ali Imran, Ayah 102 for the Tafsir.
And how would ye deny faith while unto you are the signs of Allah, and among you lives the messenger? Whoever holds firmly to Allah will be shown a way that is straight.
See Surah Ali Imran, Ayah 102 for the Tafsir.
O ye who believe, fear Allah as he should be feared, and die not except in a state of Islam.
This world is a place of trial. Here, man is forever exposed to Satan's evil temptations. So there is always the possibility of Satan's succeeding in turning one from belief to unbelief. Then, while in the state devoid of the true spirit of faith, one's time of departure from this world might come, making it almost impossible for one to make amends. That is why it is always necessary for man to be cautious. He must become his own keeper. The actual mainspring of religion is fear of God, taqwa, that is, adopting till one's dying day an unshakable sense of accountability to God for all of one's actions. This is the true and straight path. Any turning away from this path occurs when certain parts of the religion are modified in order to change the order of priorities, e.g., what is important is relegated to a secondary place, and vice versa. Such deviation mostly occurs when some secondary aspect is taken to be a fundamental part of religion, and is stressed in a manner which should be reserved for the fear of God and concern for the hereafter. Whenever such alterations are made in a religion, it necessarily results in differences which lead to serious schisms, with one group stressing one particular secondary aspect, and another group stressing another particular secondary aspect, all of which culminates in the community splitting up into a number of sects. while an attitude inspired by the fear of God, taqwa, focuses all attention on the one and only God. In the absence of such fear, it is purely trivial matters which are thrust to the forefront. When peripheral issues are thus given importance, the upshot is disunity, and this is what brings on all the evils that push men to the brink of hell. Disunity in a group must therefore be eschewed at all costs, for it will lead to calamity both in this world and in the hereafter. It must be conceded that it is only when all of the emphasis is on taqwa that unity is a natural consequence.
Hold fast, all together, by the rope which Allah stretches out for you, and be not divided among yourselves, and remember with gratitude Allah's favor on you, for ye were enemies and He joined your hearts in love, so that by His grace ye became brethren, and ye were on the brink of the pit of fire, and He saved you from it. Thus doth Allah make His signs clear to you, that ye may be guided.
Before the advent of Islam, there were two tribes, the Aus and Khazraj, inhabiting Medina. Both were Arabs, but they continuously waged war against each other. Attacks and counterattacks had considerably weakened them. When they accepted Islam, all hostilities ended, they became like brothers. The reason for this is that one who denies the truth is faithful only to his own self, while a believer gives his allegiance solely to God. In a society where individuals are faithful only to their own selves or to their groups, many allegiances naturally come into existence. The result is strife and dissension. On the contrary, in a society where all its members bow only to one God, everyone is directed towards a single focal point. All being bound by one and the same cord, mutual clashes and strife cease altogether.
Let there arise out of you a band of people inviting to all that is good, enjoining what is right, and forbidding what is wrong. They are the ones to attain felicity.
This command pertains, on the one hand, to the common man, and on the other to the intellectuals and the educated class. The educated should be strenuous in their efforts to enjoin goodness and forbid wrong in the community. Their keen awareness of the need for reform should ensure their continuing concern with the state of the people. They must encourage everyone to follow the path of goodness and shun the path of evil. However, for such an effort to succeed, the public must be submissive. They must be willing to listen to their elders. They must show respect for them, follow them as they are bid, and stop where they are told to stop, thus surrendering themselves to their religious reformers. A Muslim community's success thus depends respectively upon the attitudes of the religious elders and of the public. It is in an atmosphere of listening and obeying that society can be reformed, ensuring success both in this world as well as in the next. In short, elders motivated by the true religious spirit should never shirk their responsibility towards their community of enjoining goodness upon them and forbidding evil.
Be not like those who are divided amongst themselves and fall into disputations after receiving clear signs. For them is a dreadful penalty.
See Surah Ali Imran, Ayah 110, for the Tafsir.
On the day when some faces will be lit up with white, and some faces will be in the gloom of black, to those whose faces will be black, will be said, Did you reject faith after accepting it? Taste then the penalty for rejecting faith.
See Surah Ali Imran, Ayah 110, for the Tafsir.
But those whose faces will be lit with white, they will be in the light of Allah's mercy, therein to dwell forever.
See Surah Ali Imran, Ayah 110, for the Tafsir.
These are the signs of Allah, we rehearse them to thee in truth, and Allah means no injustice to any of His creatures.
See Surah Ali Imran, Ayah 110, for the Tafsir.
To Allah belongs all that is in the heavens and on earth. To Him do all questions go back for decision.
See Surah Ali Imran, Ayah 110, for the Tafsir.
Ye are the best of peoples, evolved for mankind, enjoining what is right, forbidding what is wrong, and believing in Allah. If only the people of the book had faith, it were best for them. Among them are some who have faith, but most of them are perverted transgressors.
The benefit the intellectuals have of being imbued with this spirit is that all their attention remains focused on goodness, that is, on the basics of religion. They have thus no time for hair-splitting arguments about secondary aspects of religion. Those who become the heralds of God's greatness and arise both as warners and as harbingers of glad tidings have not the time to waste their expertise on matters of no significance. In this way, the task of exhorting people to lead a life of righteousness and forbidding evil engages them in finding solutions to real problems. Verbal jousting over supposed problems seems to them meaningless and futile, just as a farmer finds the game of chess a futile exercise, a waste of time. In showing willingness to be obedient to well-intentioned religious elders, the people are saved from schism and strife. Submitting to an authority unites all of them. Unity becomes a common attribute of believers, and unity, without doubt, is the greatest of all powers in this world.
They would do you no harm, barring a trifling annoyance, if they come out to fight you. They will show you their backs, and no help shall they get.
See Surah Ali Imran, Ayah 112 for the Tafsir.
Shame is pitched over them like a tent wherever they are found, except one under a covenant of protection from Allah and from men. They draw on themselves wrath from Allah, and pitched over them is the tent of destitution. This because they rejected the signs of Allah, and slew the prophets in defiance of right. This because they rebelled and transgressed beyond bound.
Subsequently, God sent His religion in its original form through the Prophet Muhammad. Now the Muslims have undertaken the obligation of guiding people to the true religion of submission to God. The assignment of this role demands that they be true believers in God. It devolves upon them to enjoin goodness upon the world and to inform mankind of whatever is evil in the eyes of God. Since this is a mission assigned by Almighty God, He Himself has guaranteed to help His emissaries surmount all obstacles to their performing this task. Those who come forward for this divine mission have God's pledge that their opponents will not be able to inflict any real harm upon them.
Not all of them are alike. Of the people of the book are a portion that stand for the right. They rehearse the signs of Allah all night long, and they prostrate themselves in adoration.
See Surah Ali Imran, Ayah 115 for the Tafsir.
They believe in Allah and the Last Day, they enjoin what is right, and forbid what is wrong, and they hasten in emulation in all good works. They are in the ranks of the righteous.
See Surah Ali Imran, Ayah 115 for the Tafsir.
The good that they do, nothing will be rejected of them, for Allah knoweth well those that do right.
This refers here to the conduct of the people of the book, believers in former revealed scriptures, and their immediate recognition and acceptance, in all humility, of the divine truth as proclaimed from the lips of the last prophet. At that time there was, on the one hand, the religion of Moses, invested with all the strength of historical grandeur and sanctity of tradition. On the other hand stood the religion of the Prophet Muhammad, which had yet to acquire the force of argument, historical grandeur and traditional sanctity to support it. This difference between Moses' religion and the religion of the Prophet of the time posed the greatest obstacle to the acknowledgement of the latter's religion. Yet this obstacle was successfully overcome, and the religion of the contemporary Prophet was welcomed.
Those who reject faith, neither their possessions nor their numerous progeny will avail them aught against Allah. They will be companions of the fire, dwelling therein forever.
See Surah Ali Imran, Ayah 117 for the Tafsir.
What they spend in the life of this material world may be likened to a wind which brings a nipping frost. It strikes and destroys the harvest of men who have wronged their own souls. It is not Allah that hath wronged them, but they wrong themselves.
The love of wealth and children becomes an obstacle to accepting a religion which entails all kinds of sacrifices. An adherence to God's religion is not a matter of engaging in hollow pretenses of piety carried out in the public eye. Just as a gust of chill air ravages the whole harvest, so will the tempest of the last day, Qiyamah, render valueless all such ostentatious acts. There were some among the Jews who believed in the Prophet Muhammad, and a few God-fearing people are more precious in the eyes of God than a host of ungodly people. But merely being a member of a community formed of one race in the name of a prophet is not enough to earn one's salvation. What is actually required of an individual is that he binds himself by a covenant with God. By covenant is meant faith, the sacred bond between God and man. That is to say, personal actions, and not community relationship, make one deserving of God's mercy and blessings. All the responsibilities that faith implies are included in this pledge. Remembering God in one's solitude, worshipping Him, leading one's life, keeping in view the hereafter, enjoining goodness upon the people around one, discouraging people from committing evil, working unstintingly for the cause of God, all such actions fulfill the divine covenant. Those who follow such a course are upright people in the eyes of God. God has full knowledge of their actions, for which He will reward them, and He will greatly honor them on the day of judgment.
O ye who believe! Take not into your intimacy those outside your ranks, they will not fail to corrupt you. They only desire your ruin. Rank hatred has already appeared from their mouths. What their hearts conceal is far worse. We have made plain to you the signs, if ye have wisdom.
This refers only to people whose enmity has become apparent from their behavior and their utterances. Tabari, the Muslims believed in the same divine faith as was given to the former people of the book by their prophets. The religion of both was one in terms of actual reality, but the people of the book opposed the believers. The reason being that they had formed a self-styled religion, which they attributed to their prophets. It was due to this self-styled religion that they had been enjoying a position of leadership with the people. In a true religion of God, all attention remains centered on God, whereas in a self-styled religion, people's attention is diverted to the founders of the religion and the commentators. Upholders of the latter form of faith never tolerate the call of true religion, because this would amount to displacing themselves from their position of eminence. In such a situation, true believers should refrain from negative reaction and adhere steadily to the path of patience and piety taqwa. Patience sabr entails holding fast to the truth under all circumstances, and taqwa entails regarding God, and no other, as the only decisive power. If believers give proof of maintaining this kind of positive attitude, no enmity, however great, can harm them.
Ye are those who love them, but they love you not, though ye believe in the whole of the book. When they meet you, they say, We believe, but when they are alone, they bite off the very tips of their fingers at you in their rage. Say, Perish in your rage, Allah knoweth well all the secrets of the heart.
This refers to the contemporary Jews or Christians.
If aught that is good befalls you, it grieves them, but if some misfortune overtakes you, they rejoice at it. But if you are constant and do right, not the least harm will their cunning do to you, for Allah compasseth round about all that they do.
The existence of love in the hearts of true believers for the people of the book and the lack of love in the hearts of the latter for the believers shows who really subscribes to the truth and who does not. God is all mercy and justice. God is the creator and sustainer of all human beings, so whoever finds God in the real sense of the word will open his heart to all God's creatures. For him all human beings equally become the family of God. Then he begins to like for everyone what he likes for himself. But those who have not found God in the real sense of the word, those who have not subordinated their will to the will of God, and who live only on the plane of the self, regard life's possessions as paramount, both at the personal and the communal level. This mentality makes them inimical to anyone who appears to be against their interests, who is not, in short, a member of their own community. In spite of believing in God, they tend to forget that this world was made by God, and that no strategy can be effective here without God's approval.
Remember that morning thou didst leave thy household early to post the faithful at their stations for battle, and Allah heareth and knoweth all things.
See Surah Ali Imran, Ayah 124 for the Tafsir.
Remember 2 of your parties meditated cowardice, but Allah was their protector, and in Allah should the faithful ever put their trust.
See Surah Ali Imran, Ayah 124 for the Tafsir.
Allah had helped you at Badr, when you were a contemptible little force, then fear Allah, thus may ye show your gratitude.
See Surah Ali Imran, Ayah 124 for the Tafsir.
Remember thou saidst to the faithful, Is it not enough for you that Allah should help you with 3,000 angels specially sent down?
These verses were revealed after the Battle of Uhud, which took place in the 3rd year after Hira. The enemy forces numbered 3,000, while the Muslims who rose in defense were initially only 1,000 in number. When 300 hypocritical Muslims, led by Abdullah ibn Ubay, deserted, some of the Madinan Muslims were disheartened at this, so the Prophet reminded them that they had come forth to defend themselves, relying on God rather than only on themselves. If, due to the severity of circumstances, believers show some temporary weakness, God does not leave them to fend for themselves. He sends his special succor to restore their faith. This special succor of God was sent to the whole group of believers at a time when, by exploiting the weakness of the Muslims, the enemies had overcome them, and had every opportunity to crush the Muslim forces completely. But the enemy army, in spite of being victorious, retreated from the battlefield. This astonishing event in military history took place because of the special divine succor which diverted the enemy towards Makkah rather than Medina, the Muslim area. It was the defeated who pursued the victorious.
Yea, if you remain firm, and act aright, even if the enemy should rush here on you in hot haste, your Lord would help you with 5,000 angels making a terrific onslaught.
See Surah Al Imran, Ayah 129 for the Tafsir.
Allah made it but a message of hope for you, and an assurance to your hearts. In any case there is no help except from Allah, the Exalted, the Wise.
See Surah Al Imran, Ayah 129 for the Tafsir.
That he might cut off a fringe of the unbelievers or expose them to infamy, and they should then be turned back, frustrated of their purpose.
See Surah Al Imran, Ayah 129 for the Tafsir.
Not for thee, but for Allah, is the decision whether he turn in mercy to them or punish them, for they are indeed wrong-doers.
See Surah Al Imran, Ayah 129 for the Tafsir.
Allah belongeth all that is in the heavens and on earth. He forgiveth whom he pleaseth and punisheth whom he pleaseth, but Allah is oft forgiving, most merciful.
Believers should never be upset at any lack of manpower or resources. When small in number, they should have the conviction that God will amply compensate for this by sending angels down to help them. When confronted with inadequate resources, they should trust God to create such situations as will compensate for this deficiency. Success depends more on patience and being God-fearing taqwa than on material resources. Those who fear and trust God can receive His divine succor in two ways. First, by His causing a section of the enemy to be brought to repentance and submission, thus reducing their number, and second, by His bringing about their outright defeat. The first kind of God's succor comes by way of dua work. God opens to the truth the hearts of those opponents who have some receptivity in them, and thus they join the believers. In this way they weaken the enemy forces and strengthen the believers' ranks. By the second method, God gives strength and courage to the believers and enables them to emerge victorious.
O ye who believe, devour not usury, doubled and multiplied, but fear Allah, that ye may really prosper.
See Surah Al Imran, Ayah 134 for the Tafsir.
Fear the fire, which is prepared for those who reject faith.
See Surah Al Imran, Ayah 134 for the Tafsir.
And obey Allah and the Messenger, that ye may obtain mercy.
See Surah Al Imran, Ayah 134 for the Tafsir.
Be quick in the race for forgiveness from your Lord, and for a garden whose width is that of the whole of the heavens and of the earth, prepared for the righteous.
See Surah Al Imran, Ayah 134 for the Tafsir.
Those who spend freely, whether in prosperity or in adversity, who restrain anger and pardon all men, for Allah loves those who do good.
Engaging in usury is the ultimate in money worship. A usurer thinks day in and day out as to how to double and quadruple his money. But what he ought to pursue relentlessly is not the acquisition of material things, but his entry into paradise in the hereafter. He ought to be ever eager to attain God's mercy and blessing, but not by increasing his worldly wealth in order to guarantee himself a life of grandeur in this world. Honor and success are of no importance when compared to paradise, the pleasure and enjoyment of which are immeasurable. Wise is the one who pursues God's paradise. Hastening toward it means giving away more and more of one's wealth for the cause of God. The way to worldly success is to increase one's riches, while the way to success in the hereafter is to decrease one's riches. If the inspiration to tread the former path is the love of money, the inspiration towards the latter is the love of God and His Messenger. If the wealth of the former is worldly profit, the wealth of the latter is the profit of the hereafter. Where those desires of riches have the fear of worldly loss, those of a spiritual bent of mind fear loss in the hereafter.
Those who, having done something to be ashamed of or wrong their own souls, earnestly bring Allah to mind, and ask for forgiveness for their sins, and who can forgive sins except Allah, and are never obstinate in persisting knowingly in the wrong they have done.
See Surah Al Imran, Ayah 138 for the Tafsir.
For such the reward is forgiveness from their Lord, and gardens with rivers flowing underneath, an eternal dwelling. How excellent a recompense for those who work and strive.
See Surah Ali Imran, Ayah 138 for the Tafsir.
Many were the ways of life that have passed away before you. Travel through the earth and see what was the end of those who rejected truth.
See Surah Ali Imran, Ayah 138 for the Tafsir.
Here is a plain statement to men, a guidance and instruction to those who fear Allah.
Those who fear God lead their lives as if God is watching over them, that is, as if all their actions are performed so as to be more and more pleasing in the eyes of God. Instead of leading a life of licentiousness, they lead a life of constraint. The requirements of the religion of God become their own requirements, and for that they spend in charity under all circumstances, irrespective of whether they have much or little. When enraged, they control themselves. When there is a cause for complaint, they forgive instead of reacting negatively. They too fall into error, but that is only temporary. They immediately realize their mistake and return to God, spontaneously invoking His forgiveness and seeking His mercy. Whatever has been stated verbally in the Quran is borne out by the events of Islamic history, but advice is heeded only by those who are keen to have it.
So lose not heart, nor fall into despair, for ye must gain mastery if ye are true in faith.
See Surah Ali Imran, Ayah 141 for the Tafsir.
If a wound hath touched you, be sure a similar wound hath touched the others. Such days of varying fortunes we give to men and men by turns, that Allah may know those that believe, and that He may take to Himself from your ranks martyr, witnesses to truth. And Allah loveth not those that do wrong.
See Surah Ali Imran, Ayah 141 for the Tafsir.
Allah's object also is to purge those that are true in faith and to deprive of blessing those that resist faith.
Accepting faith amounts to making a pledge to lead one's life according to God's commandments. God has promised the believers success in this world and paradise in the next. Besides this, He will confer upon those who have suffered rejection in this world the foremost honor of being chosen as witnesses in His court. And it will be on the basis of their evidence that the eternal fate of all human beings will be decided. But one will not receive the status merely on the strength of verbal claims to have embraced the faith. Each individual will have necessarily to prove his genuineness in terms of the patience he has exercised on earth and his struggle for the cause of God. Difficulties and obstacles will be placed by others in the path of the believer in both cases, that is, whether he wants to base his personal life on faith and belief or stand before others as a witness of the religion of God. Persevering in God's cause, while facing all odds and difficulties along the way is a form of struggle or jihad, while standing by one's pledges and never taking an emotional step are a form of patience or sabr. Whichever group struggles while remaining patient and peaceful will be successful in this world of God as well as in the hereafter. It is people such as these who are deserving candidates for paradise.
Do you think that you would enter heaven without Allah testing those of you who fought hard in His cause and remained steadfast?
See Surah Ali Imran, Ayah 143 for the Tafsir.
Ye did indeed wish for death before ye met Him. Now ye have seen Him with your own eyes, and ye flinch.
When an individual resolves to follow the path of God, he is confronted with many kinds of problems and difficulties created by others. Sometimes these problems produce in him a state of uncertainty. Sometimes they make him think of opting for a policy of expediency. Sometimes they arouse negative feelings within him. Sometimes he is tempted to embrace such a version of God's religion as has great public appeal. Herein lies the test of man in the present world. Whatever reaction man shows on such occasions serves as an indicator of whether he is false or true in his acceptance of faith. If his actions correspond to his verbal claim of faith, he is true, and if not, he is false. Becoming God's witness is the final destination of this journey. Let us imagine a servant of God who comes forward as a preacher of truth before the people. He himself fully practices what he preaches. People may regard him as insignificant, but he does not mind. He faces difficulties, but he is not discouraged. He perseveres in sending out the call of truth. He is neither disheartened nor given to negative thinking. Even when he has to pay the price with his life and property, his stand is not shaken. This test is a momentous one, but it is as a result of his passing this test that God selects him to be a witness in His divine court. When, despite all sorts of adverse situations, man continues to perform the task of conveying the divine message, he proves that he is convinced of the truth of the message he preaches. Furthermore, this also shows that the message he conveys to others is not just a trivial matter, but an extremely serious one.
Muhammad is no more than a messenger. Many were the messenger that passed away before him. If he died or were slain, will ye then turn back on your heels? If any did turn back on his heels, not the least harm will he do to Allah, but Allah on the other hand will swiftly reward those who serve him with gratitude.
See Surah Ali Imran, Ayah 145, for the Tafsir.
Nor can a soul die except by Allah's leave, the term being fixed as by writing. If any do desire a reward in this life, we shall give it to him, and if any do desire a reward in the hereafter, we shall give it to him, and swiftly shall we reward those that serve us with gratitude.
During the Battle of Uhud, a cry was raised that the messenger had been slain. This news seriously depressed certain Muslims. But the real servants of God are those whose religiosity is not based on a human personality. God requires a religiosity that attaches his servants with all their hearts and souls to the one God. A believer is one who follows Islam for the truth of its principles, rather than for the support of some human individual. One who enters the fold of Islam in this way finds it such a blessing that his spirit overflows with feelings of gratitude to God. He begins to regard the hereafter and not this world as his all in all. Life becomes to him a transient thing, for he knows that he is going to be faced with death at any point of time. He is able to discern the universe as a divine workshop, where each happening takes place at God's will and where God is both the giver and the taker.
How many of the prophets fought in Allah's way, and with them fought large bands of godly men? But they never lost heart if they met with disaster in Allah's way, nor did they weaken in will nor give in. And Allah loves those who are firm and steadfast.
See Surah Ali Imran, Ayah 148 for the Tafsir.
All that they said was, Our Lord, forgive us our sins and anything we may have done that transgressed our duty, establish our feet firmly, and help us against those that resist faith.
See Surah Ali Imran, Ayah 148 for the Tafsir.
Allah gave them a reward in this world, and the excellent reward of the hereafter. For Allah loveth those who do good.
People who realize these truths are the true followers of the path of God. If God wills, they are invested with honor and power in this world as well, and so far as the eternal and superior rewards of the hereafter are concerned, these too are reserved for them. However, the status is earned only when the believer has passed all the tests, when his eyes are set on God, even when all the apparent supports have crumbled away. His life being at risk fails to depress him. He does not retreat even when he sees the destruction of his worldly position before his very eyes. He regards any loss he incurs as the result of his own shortcomings. He holds himself responsible for it and seeks forgiveness from God. When he is blessed with some good thing, he knows that it comes from God, and he is thankful to him. Such people become deserving candidates for all kinds of blessings showered upon them by their Creator. They who have thus discovered God are the most precious of souls and have themselves wholeheartedly enrolled in God's plan. Remaining united at crucial moments and adhering strictly and with patience to the truth are the qualities that make believers deserving of divine succor.
O ye who believe! If ye obey the unbelievers, they will drive you back on your heels, and ye will turn back from faith to your own loss.
See Surah Ali Imran, Ayah 151 for the Tafsir.
Nay, Allah is your protector, and He is the best of helpers.
See Surah Ali Imran, Ayah 151 for the Tafsir.
Soon shall we cast terror into the hearts of the unbelievers, for that they join companions with Allah, for which He had sent no authority. Their abode will be the fire, and evil is the home of the wrongdoers.
The temporary defeat of the Muslims at the Battle of Uhud gave an opportunity to the opponents of Islam to prove their stand that the credo of the Prophet and his companions was not a divine matter. It was just the boyish enthusiasm of certain people, and now they were suffering for it. Their enemies would point out that had it pertained to God, they would never have been defeated at the hands of their opponents. However, such happenings, even if the results of the Muslims' own errors are, at all events, test papers from God. A happening like that of Uhud must take place in this world in order to find out who are the ones who truly trust in God, and who are the ones who are to fall by the wayside. Such happenings serve as a two-sided trial for the believer. He passes the test only if he perseveres at all times, is not influenced by the adverse remarks of others, and is not discouraged by temporary setbacks.
Allah did indeed fulfill His promise to you when you with His permission were about to annihilate your enemy, until you flinched and fell to disputing about the order, and disobeyed it after He brought you in sight of the booty which ye covet. Among you are some that hanker after this world and some that desire the hereafter. Then did He divert you from your foes in order to test you, but He forgave you, for Allah is full of grace to those who believe.
See Surah Ali Imran, Ayah 153, for the tafsir.
Behold, they were climbing up the high ground without even casting a side glance at anyone, and the messenger in your rear was calling you back. There did Allah give you one distress after another by way of requital, to teach you not to grieve for the booty that had escaped you and for the ill that had befallen you. For Allah is well aware of all that ye do.
When believers show steadfastness at crucial moments, God sends His special succor, that is, He strikes terror into the hearts of those who deny the truth. Any person or group who adheres to anything other than the true divine religion is standing in fact on quicksand. For there is no other real base to build on in this world, except the truth revealed by God. As such, whenever one has proved to be standing firmly on the ground of God's religion, the ranks of those who deny the truth begin to show signs of disarray. Lacking sound arguments, those who denied the truth, unlike the believers, suffer from feelings of uncertainty and inferiority. This lack of conviction finally leads to their downfall. They are ultimately defeated at the hands of true believers. But in the case of the Muslims, their weakness and defeat are traceable solely to their disunity arising from dissension. Yet unity cannot come about in a society solely on the basis of uniformity of opinion. It takes united action also, even in the face of divisive opinions, to ensure total cohesiveness within a community. Only when a community thinks on this level can it remain united and powerful. When people start breaking up into factions, just because of disagreements, the resulting weakness will most certainly lead to defeat.
After the excitement of the distress, He sent down calm on a band of you overcome with slumber, while another band was stirred to anxiety by their own feelings, moved by wrong suspicions of Allah, suspicions due to ignorance. They said, "What affair is this of ours?" Say thou, "Indeed, this affair is wholly Allah's." They hide in their minds what they dare not reveal to thee. They say to themselves, "If we had had anything to do with this affair, we should not have been in the slaughter here." Say, even if you had remained in your homes, those for whom death was decreed would certainly have gone forth to the place of their death. But all this was that Allah might test what is in your breast and purge what is in your hearts. For Allah knoweth well the secrets of your hearts.
The most important thing for the believer in life's trials and tribulations is to remain calm and composed so that he may draw up his plans with full concentration. Such composure and concentration derive from complete trust placed in God. Even on the most earth-shaking of occasions, when people find it impossible to sleep, the believers are able to revitalize themselves with the soothing effect of sleep. This was demonstrated on the occasion of Uhud when, despite the severest of conditions, they were able to have a good night's sleep. Rested and refreshed, they then pursued the enemy forces as far as Hamra al-Assad, some 8 miles from Medina. Severely wounded and defeated, they would not have been able to take any further action had calm not descended upon them. This hot pursuit awed the enemy, who turned about and retreated to Mecca. This is the state in which the believers live, whereas those who have not made God their guardian and protector in the full sense of these words inevitably fear for their own lives. Bereft of any concern for religion, they are engrossed in their own selves. Such people are never blessed with composure through divine succor.
Those of you who turned back on the day the two hosts met, it was Satan who caused them to fail, because of some evil they had done. But Allah has blotted out their fault, for Allah is oft forgiving, most forbearing.
On the occasion of Uhud, Abdullah ibn Ubay counseled that the defense of Medina should be undertaken within the walls, instead of the Muslims boldly coming out to meet the enemy. The Prophet, however, at the instance of some other sincere Muslims, went out of the city to meet the enemy, posting his men strategically on Mount Uhud. The battle began well for the Muslims, but turned to near defeat because of the disobedience of a band of 50 archers who had been given the task of guarding a certain pass. Seeing the imminent Muslim victory, they abandoned their posts, attracted by the prospects of booty. When this victory turned into defeat, the hypocrites who had deserted the Muslims even before the battle started, on the pretext that their counsel had not been accepted by the Prophet, began to say that, had their words been heeded, this calamity could have been averted. But death is decreed by God, and comes regardless of circumstances. No precautionary measure can save one from death. Such happenings, whatever their apparent reason, are wrought by God, in order that his true believers may turn to him in repentance and become worthy of further blessings from him. Such happenings also serve to reveal the truth about those who are not the true servants of God. When the 50 archers posted at the mount you had passed saw that the Muslims had won the battle, a large number of them insisted on going in pursuit of booty. Although Abdullah ibn Jubair and a few other companions pointed out that it was against the orders of the Prophet, they deserted their posts, leaving behind 11 men. Satan thus made inroads by using the dissension already evident among them. However, when they admitted their error, they were forgiven by God, and after the initial setback, God's succor came to them too. The Almighty struck terror into the hearts of their enemies, which resulted in their retreat, although they were just a few miles from Medina. Had God's succor not come, there was nothing to stop them from forcing their entry into Medina and uprooting the nascent tree of Islam.
O ye who believe! Be not like the unbelievers, who say of their brethren, when they are traveling through the earth or engaged in fighting, if they had stayed with us, they would not have died or been slain. This that Allah may make it a cause of sighs and regrets in their hearts. It is Allah that gives life and death, and Allah sees well all that ye do.
See Surah Ali Imran, Ayah 158, for the Tafsir.
And if ye are slain or die in the way of Allah, forgiveness and mercy from Allah are far better than all they could amass.
See Surah Ali Imran, Ayah 158, for the Tafsir.
And if ye die or are slain, lo, it is unto Allah that ye are brought together.
All that happens in this world is by the will of God. However, everything takes place under the veil of cause and effect. Incidents appear to have a cause behind them, but actually they occur at the will of God. Man's faith is put to the test through apparent causes, which make it difficult to see the hidden hand of God in all things. The non-believer is the one who is lost in trying to understand the causes and effects, while the believer is one who penetrates their veil to discover the actual reality. One who claims to be a believer yet regards life and death, success and failure as the results of human strategies is not true to his claim. When a non-believer suffers a setback, he grieves over it, thinking that had he adopted this or that course, he could have been saved. But when a believer confronts the same situation, he resigns himself to it by accepting it as the will of God. When a man has the conviction that everything happens by God's will, then all other human causes appear insignificant and not worthy of further consideration. Those, on the other hand, who hold worldly resources important devote their whole lives to providing for the things of this world. But the only things of true value are those which will be theirs in the hereafter, that is, God's forgiveness and paradise. Paradise is something which can be attained only at the cost of one's life. Man's existence on earth is the exact price he has to pay to enter paradise. If he fails to make this sacrifice, he cannot be certain of his fate in the hereafter.
It is part of the murder that will deal gently with the more very harsh, hard, that would have broken away the morality, so pay with else and for forgiveness for them, and consult them in a moment. Then, when thou hast taken a decision, put thy trust in Allah, for Allah loves those who put their trust in Him.
See Surah Ali Imran, Ayah 160, for the Tafsir.
If Allah helps you, none can overcome you. If He forsakes you, who is there after that can help you? In Allah, then, let believers put their trust.
The gentle way the Prophet is asked to deal with the believers. In this context, those who had disobeyed him in quitting their posts, incurring defeat in the battle, is equally essential in any Muslim leader. Moderation is indispensable for him. This lenient attitude is required not only in normal, daily life, but also in dealings between Muslims and non-Muslims, even where, due to the disobedience of certain people, a victory turns into a defeat. Unless the leader shows broad-mindedness and high thinking, a powerful polity cannot be established. Mistakes, however grave their outcome, if committed without any evil intention, are pardonable. The leader, therefore, should overlook this type of error while dealing with people. He should be such a great well-wisher of his people that he should pray to God for their guidance. Indeed, the good leader so values his people that he takes decisions on matters of importance only after consulting them.
No prophet could ever be false to his trust. If any person is so false, he shall, on the day of judgment, restore what he misappropriated. Then shall every soul receive its due, whatever it earned, and none shall be dealt with unjustly.
See Surah Ali Imran, Ayah 163 for the Tafsir.
Is the man who follows the good pleasure of Allah like the man who draws on himself the wrath of Allah, and whose abode is in hell, a woeful refuge?
See Surah Ali Imran, Ayah 163 for the Tafsir.
They are in varying gardens in the sight of Allah, and Allah sees well all that they do.
The Prophet forgave the 40 Muslims who had disobeyed his orders on the occasion of the Battle of Uhud. However, people doubted that the Prophet had really forgiven them. They thought that he had done so only outwardly, for show, and that later he would show his anger. These verses tell us that the Prophet's inner feelings did not differ from his outward behavior. His actions never belied his words. This also indicates what a Muslim leader should be like. His heart should be free of malice, jealousy, hatred, etc. Even at a time when such a grave mistake is being made by his people, as was made by the Prophet's companions on the occasion of the Battle of Uhud, he should not even keep any malice hidden in his heart. He should live with his people after his act of forgiveness as if nothing had ever been amiss. Moreover, when Muslims trustingly handed over all their affairs to him, he should not exploit their lives and their wealth to serve his own personal ends. This would be crossing the limits, showing no fear of God's wrath. How could one, dedicated to leading people along the path of God's will, ever think of meeting God, if he himself had gone against his will?
Allah did confer a great favor on the believers when he sent among them a messenger from among themselves, rehearsing unto them the signs of Allah, sanctifying them, and instructing them in scripture and wisdom, while, before that, they had been in manifest error.
The example set by the Prophet throughout his life must be followed by all reformers, till doomsday. For the task of reformation to be successful, it is essential that the targeted people should feel as if the reformer is one of themselves in every respect. His language, his style of speaking, his style of living, all should be familiar to them. No such feelings should be created between him and his addressee that may lead, in one way or another, to the latter becoming distant from him, or to the addressee and the reformer becoming rivals. The first task to be performed among the people is to foster in them the ability to read the signs of God spread everywhere within and without their own selves. God's signs should become part of their very mental makeup. The second task is to purify people. This end is achieved by the reformer speaking to them in person and giving them the opportunity to spend time in his company. The message can, of course, be put across through general discourses and writing, but this would only be in principle, whereas by resorting to individual communication the message can be conveyed in a more precise and detailed way. Then there is the question of the personality of the day, which should always lend weight to the message. Individual meetings thus serve the purpose of the purification of the addressees, or Madhu. The third task is to introduce to the Madhu the Sharia, the book of guidance on how life should be led in this world. The fourth task is to impart wisdom, that is, to unveil the secrets of religion and to highlight the truths hidden in between the lines.
What? When a single disaster smites you, although ye smote your enemies with one twice as great, do ye say, whence is this? Say to them, it is from yourselves, for Allah hath power over all things.
See Surah Ali Imran, Ayah 167 for the Tafsir.
What ye suffered on the day the two armies met was with the leave of Allah, in order that he might test the believers.
See Surah Ali Imran, Ayah 167 for the Tafsir.
And the hypocrites also, these were told, come, fight in the way of Allah, or at least drive the foe from your city. They said, had we known how to fight, we should certainly have followed you. They were that day nearer to unbelief than to faith, saying with their lips what was not in their hearts, but Allah hath full knowledge of all they conceal.
In the confrontation between truth and untruth, truth is always destined to have the final victory, because truth always has God on its side. However, this world being a world of trial, mischief, mongers too have full freedom of action. That is why at times, by exploiting some weakness of the believers, for instance, mutual dissension, they are able to inflict temporary harm on them. Yet such happenings, though tragic in appearance, have a good side to them as well, for in this way Muslims are put to the test. In the face of unfavorable situations, the insincere fall away, while the true believers persevere because of their total trust in God. In this way, it becomes clear who are the trustworthy and who are not. Furthermore, God's mercy is all the more focused upon them when, after incurring loss due to their inadvertent mistakes, the believers turn to God once again in all patience and humility.
They are the ones that say of their brethren slain, while they themselves sit at ease, "If only they had listened to us, they would not have been slain." Say, avert death from your own selves, if ye speak the truth.
Those who participate in the encounter of truth and untruth in such a way as to make real sacrifices for the sake of truth are scorned by worldly people as having destroyed themselves for no good reason. But this is a foolish assessment. Incurring a seeming loss in God's path is a positive happening, because those who have sacrificed everything for God are the ones most deserving of God's rewards. The foolish speak of those who sacrificed their lives in the path of God as if it is only they who die, as if those who are striving towards worldly ends do not taste death. This is entirely meaningless, and those who speak of such things are never serious. Their hearts tell them that they have made a great mistake in not making sacrifices for the cause of truth, but by speaking ill of those who have done so, they want to keep up a pretense that they are in the right. But death is decreed for all human beings by God. It will certainly visit everyone at the appointed time. Whichever path one follows, none can escape from the clutches of death. People realize their mistake in their hearts, but they do not want to acknowledge it. In order to justify their course of action, they utter such words as even their own hearts attest to as being false.
Think not of those who are slain in Allah's way as dead. Nay, they live, finding their sustenance in the presence of their Lord.
See Surah Ali Imran, Ayah 172 for the Tafsir.
They rejoice in the bounty provided by Allah, and with regard to those left behind, who have not yet joined them in their bliss, the martyrs glory in the fact that on them is no fear, nor have they cause to grieve.
See Surah Ali Imran, Ayah 172 for the Tafsir.
They glory in the grace and the bounty from Allah, and in the fact that Allah suffereth not the reward of the faithful to be lost in the least.
See Surah Ali Imran, Ayah 172 for the Tafsir.
Of those who answered the call of Allah and the Messenger, even after being wounded, those who do right and refrain from wrong have a great reward.
The martyrdom of the believers was derided by the hypocrites. They said that Muslims were being slain meaninglessly at the instance of their leader, the Prophet. God says that, on the contrary, what they call death is in fact the true, real life which they have entered through the gateway of death. The non-believers know only the profit and loss of this world. That is why sacrificing their lives for the cause of the hereafter appears to them as self-destruction. But they ought to know that the believers dead have a far better life than those among the non-believers who are alive. In the hereafter, they rejoice in the bliss they have attained through sacrifice for the cause of God. Satan's way is to take in hand those people whom he finds closer to him and prevent them from advancing towards religion by showing them the dreadful consequences of such a step. People who give in to Satan's influences thus become his agents. They exaggerate the power and the resources of the opponents of Islam in order to awe the believers. But such kinds of propaganda only serve to benefit the believers. Their conviction is strengthened all the more that their God will not abandon them in a difficult situation.
Men said to them, "A great army is gathering against you," and frightened them, but it only increased their faith. They said, "For us Allah sufficeth, and He is the best disposer of affairs."
See Surah Ali Imran, Ayah 175 for the Tafsir.
And they returned with grace and bounty from Allah. No harm ever touched them, for they followed the good pleasure of Allah, and Allah is the Lord of bounties unbounded.
See Surah Ali Imran, Ayah 175 for the Tafsir.
It is only the evil one that suggests to you the fear of his votaries. Be ye not afraid of them, but fear me, if ye have faith.
The Battle of Uhud took place at a distance of 2 miles from Medina. After the battle, the enemy, led by Abu Sufyan, marched back and camped at a place called Hamrul Asad, at a distance of 8 miles from Medina. After having camped there, it occurred to those who denied the truth that they had made a great mistake in leaving Uhud, as it was there that they had the best opportunity to pursue the Muslims as far as Medina and crush their power forever. In the meantime, they met a trader's caravan belonging to the tribe of Abdul Qais, going on to Medina. They gave the people of the caravan some money and induced them to spread rumors in Medina that would strike terror into the hearts of the Muslims. When they reached Medina, they started saying that they had seen themselves that the Meccans were gathering a large force and intended to attack Medina once again. However, the Muslims' total trust in God was a guarantee that the planning of the enemies would prove counterproductive. The rumor about the Meccans actually benefited the Muslims, as they were now forewarned of their enemies' intentions. Consequently, the Prophet along with his companions immediately marched toward Hamr al-Assad, prior to the Meccan army advancing on Medina. When the Meccans learned that the Muslim force was advancing towards them, they thought that the Muslims had mustered fresh forces. They immediately fled to Mecca, giving up all thoughts of attacking Medina again.
Let not those grieve thee who rush headlong into unbelief. Not the least harm will they do to Allah. Allah's plan is that He will give them no portion in the hereafter, but a severe punishment.
See Surah Ali Imran, Ayah 178, for the Tafsir.
Those who purchase unbelief at the price of faith, not the least harm will they do to Allah, but they will have a grievous punishment.
See Surah Ali Imran, Ayah 178, for the Tafsir.
Let not the unbelievers think that our respite to them is good for themselves. We grant them respite that they may grow in their iniquity, but they will have a shameful punishment.
The real problem is that, being veiled from our eyes, life is not what it appears to be. People are concerned with saving themselves from hell, the difficulties and problems of this world, and devote all their attention to attaining the paradise of this world. But it would be wiser to aim for the paradise of the next world and in so doing save oneself from the hell of the next world. Wealth, property, and the trappings of honor are things that everyone can see with his own eyes. That is why man relentlessly pursues these goals, exerting himself to the utmost so as not to be deprived of them. But the actual human dilemma is the question of the hereafter. This real problem has been screened from our eyes, because human beings have to be put to the test by God. However, God has His way of informing people of it. This is done by selecting His messengers from amongst men, so that they may make people aware of the realities beyond death. The real test of man is to discover the truth in the message of the preacher, Da'i, appointed by God. He may see the actual reality in a verbal message. He may hear the divine voice in the voice of a human being. God speaks through His messengers, human beings. Now man has to acknowledge a man like himself as one receiving the divine message.
Allah will not leave the believers in the state in which ye are now, until He separates what is evil from what is good, nor will He disclose to you the secrets of the unseen. But He chooses of His messengers for the purpose whom He pleases. So believe in Allah and His messengers, and if ye believe and do right, ye have a reward without measure.
Having faith implies not being obsessed with one's own self. Such an obsession amounts to assigning the position of greatness to one's own self rather than to God. A believer should not be engrossed in the world, as this would mean that he did not attach real importance to the hereafter. A believer should eschew arrogance, miserliness, injustice, and even love for and deep attachment to anything other than God. He should instead adopt the ways of God, worship, humility, generosity, and justice. This would show that he is sincere in his faith and that he has actually dedicated himself to God and the hereafter. Failure to do so means that he is not sincere in his faith. In spite of a formal acceptance of faith, he would in fact be living in this world very much like the non-believers. The division into good and bad souls in the hereafter will be based on reality rather than on ostentatious behavior. We find that wicked people too have been given full freedom, but it is only so that they can reveal their entirely perverse nature, what lies within them, yet however hard they may try, they can never succeed in vanquishing the believers. They have the power to use their freedom only where they themselves are concerned, not against others.
And let not those who covetously withhold of the gifts which Allah hath given them of His grace, think that it is good for them. Nay, it will be the worse for them. Soon shall the things which they covetously withheld be tied to their necks like a twisted collar, on the day of judgment. To Allah belongs the heritage of the heavens and the earth, and Allah is well acquainted with all that ye do.
See Surah Ali Imran, Ayah 182 for the Tafsir.
Allah hath heard the taunt of those who say, Truly, Allah is indigent and we are rich. We shall certainly record their word and their act of slaying the prophets in defiance of right, and we shall say, Taste ye the penalty of the scorching fire.
See Surah Ali Imran, Ayah 182 for the Tafsir.
This is because of the unrighteous deeds which your hands sent on before ye, for Allah never harms those who serve Him.
One comes to be called a believer by just repeating some words, kalima, but so far as God is concerned, the would-be Muslim becomes a believer only when he sacrifices his life and his wealth for his cause. Without such a sacrifice, nobody's faith is credible in the eyes of God. One thinks that by safeguarding one's money one is safeguarding one's worldly future. But man's real future is that which pertains to the hereafter. And money amassed for worldly purposes will only prove to be a curse for the hoarder.
They also said, Allah took our promise not to believe in a messenger unless he showed us a sacrifice consumed by fire from heaven. Say, there came to you messengers before me with clear signs, and even with what ye asked for, why then did ye slay them, if ye speak the truth?
See Surah Ali Imran, Ayah 185 for the Tafsir.
And if they reject thee, so were rejected messengers before thee, who came with clear signs, books of dark prophecies, and the book of enlightenment.
See Surah Ali Imran, Ayah 185 for the Tafsir.
Every soul shall have a taste of death, and only on the day of judgment shall you be paid your full recompense. Only he who is saved far from the fire and admitted to the garden will have attained the object of life, for the life of this world is but goods and chattels of deception.
Those who do not adopt the religion of sacrifice justify their stand in various ways. For instance, they say, this wealth has been granted to us by God. Then why should we not spend it for our personal needs and worldly comforts? Sometimes their insensitivity leads them to such extremes that they attempt to discredit the preacher himself on one pretext or the other, or by trying to find loopholes in his message. The need for them to sacrifice their lives and wealth does not arise if they can prove that the preacher is not a genuine one. These justifications appear to be in the form of valid arguments, but in fact, they are only excuses to avoid fulfilling the requirements of faith. Therefore, whatever truth is presented, they will always find words to counter the preacher's arguments, and to justify their own actions. These people are oblivious of the fact that their final end is death, and death will completely overturn the whole state of affairs. It will nullify all the false props. Then man will find himself standing at exactly that point where he actually is and not where he has shown himself to be. In other words, he will be cut down to size. Success and failure in this world are one and the same thing in terms of reality. Neither are the blessings of this world a proof of one's being in the right, nor are the difficulties, problems, and setbacks of this world a proof of one's being in the wrong. Both are forms of divine trial, and not signs of one's spiritual advancement or decline.
Ye shall certainly be tried and tested in your possessions and in your personal selves, and ye shall certainly hear much that will grieve you, from those who received the book before you and from those who worship many gods. But if ye persevere patiently and guard against evil, then that will be a determining factor in all affairs.
A man has to make the journey of faith in a world where he might be hurt in many ways, both by his own people as well as strangers. But under no circumstances should he fall prey to negative thoughts. He should rather confront every difficult situation as it comes and keep going on. He might be even provoked, but nonetheless he should restrain himself. He should bear every setback without resorting to vengeance. There might be many an occasion when his heart, unable to take any more suffering, might tell him to break the bonds of God and act as his heart bids him. Still, the fear of God should stop him from taking such a step even then. The demands of religion inevitably require the ultimate sacrifice, which would mean sacrificing one's life and wealth. In such a situation, one has to uphold religion by making sacrifices for its cause, though that might mean adopting the most difficult of the courses open to one. On the journey of faith, this is a tremendous test of courage and high-mindedness. Indeed, becoming a true believer is a trial, which requires patience and piety. One who successfully qualifies in this test is the believer for whom the gates of paradise will be thrown open in the hereafter.
Remember, Allah took a covenant from the people of the book to make it known and clear to mankind, and not to hide it, but they threw it away behind their backs and purchased with it some miserable gain. And vile was the bargain they made.
See Surah Ali Imran, Ayah 189, for the Tafsir.
Think not that those who exult in what they have brought about, and love to be praised for what they have not done, think escape the penalty. For them is a penalty grievous indeed.
See Surah Ali Imran, Ayah 189, for the Tafsir.
To Allah belongeth the dominion of the heavens and the earth, and Allah hath power over all things.
When a decline sets in the bearers of a revealed book, it in no way means that they have entirely severed their bond with God or His Messenger. This is not possible because religion becomes a part of the traditions of a community. It becomes a great national asset and a matter of tremendous pride. And once such a communal and national link is established with something, disassociation from it is just not possible for any group. However, this association with traditions in the name of religion is purely formal and lacks in genuine religiosity, for all worldly activities continue to be engaged in the name of religion. Even when members of certain societies have nothing to do with religion, they want to be called religious. They want to take credit for things they have not done. Having no real concern for eternal salvation, they develop such concepts as appear to show that their salvation is certain. They follow a self-made religion, but call themselves upholders of divine religion. They are busy in activities serving worldly ends, but call these activities hereafter-oriented. They call their self-styled politics divinely guided politics, declaring that they have been moved to action for the betterment of the Ummah community, whereas, in reality, they do little more than serve their own national interests. One cannot save oneself from the chastisement of God by giving one's irreligiousness the name of religion. When man remains engrossed in worldly pursuits, oblivious of matters which are important in view of the hereafter, he is going astray. But when he engages himself in worldly pursuits in the name of God or the Prophet, he is adding insult to injury, because he wants to be given credit for a faith which is hollow and actions which are false.
Behold, in the creation of the heavens and the earth, and the alternation of night and day, there are indeed signs for men of understanding.
See Surah Ali Imran, Ayah 192, for the Tafsir.
Men who celebrate the praises of Allah, standing, sitting, and lying down on their sides, and contemplate the wonders of creation in the heavens and the earth, with the thought, Our Lord, not for naught hast Thou created all this. Glory to Thee! Give us salvation from the penalty of the fire.
See Surah Ali Imran, Ayah 192, for the Tafsir.
O Lord, any whom Thou dost admit to the fire, truly Thou coverest with shame, and never will wrong-doers find any helpers.
The universe with its whole existence is a silent declaration of God's presence. When man removes the man-made veils from his eyes and unstops his ears, he starts seeing and hearing the silent announcement all around him. It then appears improbable to him that, in a universe where the stars and the planets have continued to exist for millions of years, man may cease to exist within 50 or 100 years, taking with him to his grave all his desires and aspirations. In a world which abounds in the beauties of nature, with the fragrance of flowers, where countless meaningful blessings like air, water, and the sun have been provided, should man's end be nothing but only sorrow and suffering, then he also finds it unthinkable that, in a world of limitless possibilities where, just by sowing seeds in the ground, a whole forest of trees comes into existence, one should fail to receive the fruits of virtuous actions, that in a world where the sun shines daily after the dark night, centuries go by without being illuminated by the luster of fairness and justice, that in a world where earthquakes and tempests lie dormant, man should continue to perpetrate tyranny and oppression without ever being checked.
O Lord, we have heard the call of one calling us to faith. Believe ye in the Lord, and we have believed. O Lord, forgive us our sins, blot out from us our iniquities, and take to Thyself our souls in the company of the righteous.
See Surah Ali Imran, Ayah 194, for the Tafsir.
O Lord, grant us what Thou didst promise unto us through Thine messengers, and save us from shame on the day of judgment, for Thou never breakest Thy promise.
Those who think deeply, seeking a more profound reality, find it unthinkable that a meaningful universe should have a meaningless end. They discover that the message conveyed by the preacher is the announcement in human language of the same reality which is being silently proclaimed by the whole universe. The greatest issue is that when the truth is unveiled and the Sun of Justice makes its appearance, they should not be left deprived and destitute. So when the truth appears, they rush towards it, remembering God. By breaking all personal bonds and ridding their thoughts of worldly considerations, they become one with the preacher of truth, so that in the next world, when the darkness and the light of the universe are separated, the Lord of the universe will make them inhabit the light, and will not abandon them to fumble eternally in the dark. The true measure of wisdom and unwisdom is wholly different from the one devised by human beings on their own. Here a wise man is one who lives in the remembrance of God, who can discover the divine meaningfulness at work in the creation plan of the universe. On the contrary, the unwise man is one who keeps his mind engaged in other more material things, who lives in this world as if he is totally unaware of the creation plan of the Lord of the universe.
And they'll accept him, and him. Never will author be author work on you, be he male or female, ye are members, one of another, the who have left their homes, or been driven out therefrom, or suffered harm in my cause, or fought or been slain, verily I would blot out from them their iniquities, and admit them in the gardens with rivers flowing beneath, a reward in the presence of Allah, and from the presence of the best of rewards.
See note to 191.
Let not the strutting about of the unbelievers through the land deceive thee.
See Surah Ali Imran, Ayah 197, for the Tafsir.
Little is it for enjoyment, their ultimate abode is hell, what an evil bed to lie on.
The responsible life of the believers deprives them of any liberties that might be taken with the self. In their mission of communicating the truth, many of their hearers turn hostile when they find that the success of such a mission entails a negation of their own existence. This state of affairs sometimes becomes so calamitous that believers are rendered homeless in their own homeland, having to suffer the oppression of their opponents. If they adopt the divine religion, it must be at the cost of their lives and property. In order to succeed in these tests, the believers should never place the considerations of this world above those of the hereafter. Difficulties and unpleasantness should be suffered patiently. Negative feelings should be suppressed, and any reaction should be refrained from. Believers must remain steadfast in their encounters with their opponents. It is this steadfastness which draws God's succor towards them. Besides this, it is necessary that all believers be united, joining together to face enemy onslaughts with all the strength of perfect union. Faith is in fact a test of patience, and only those who fear God can pass this test.
On the other hand, for those who fear their Lord are gardens with rivers flowing beneath, therein are they to dwell forever, a gift from the presence of Allah, and that which is in the presence of Allah is the best bliss for the righteous.
See Surah Ali Imran, Ayah 200 for the Tafsir.
There are, certainly, among the people of the book, those who believe in Allah, in the revelation to you, and in the revelation to them, bowing in humility to Allah. They will not sell the signs of Allah for a miserable gain. For them is a reward with their Lord, and Allah is swift in account.
See Surah Al Imran, Ayah 200 for the Tafsir.
O ye who believe, persevere in patience and constancy, vie in such perseverance, strengthen each other, and fear Allah, that ye may prosper.
It often happens in this world that those who have no fear of God and have no concern for the hereafter come into positions of dominance. All kinds of honor and glory surround them. On the other hand, the believers are often powerless. No share of worldly glory comes their way. But this state of affairs is temporary in nature. The situation will reverse itself with the advent of doomsday. Those who lived in this world without any fear of God and gathered around them the honor and glory of the world will find themselves cast into the pit of humiliation. And those who had been denied worldly honor and successes, because of their attachment to God, will be the possessors of all kinds of eternal honor and success in the next world. They will be God's guests, and there is nothing greater on this earth and in the heavens than being God's guests.